Hey y'all, it's Stacy. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're making my ultimate sweet potato casserole. Now, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, this is one of those dishes that's just a requirement on the table during the holidays. Let me show you how easy it is to make. To start, I've got 3 pounds of fresh sweet potatoes that I've cooked. Now, when it comes to cooking your sweet potatoes, you have 2 options. You can roast them or you can boil them. Now, I have recipes that include both methods, but for this particular recipe, I chose to include instructions about roasting your sweet potatoes. And the reason is that after years of testing, I find that roasting sweet potatoes kind of intensifies that sweet potato flavor, caramelizes some of that sugar, and really just amps up the flavor. I always saw my mom boil sweet potatoes, and her recipe for sweet potato casserole is on the blog also, and it includes those boiling instructions. Now, boiling is a lot faster. Roasting takes a little bit longer. The advantage to roasting also is you can do that a day or 2 in advance. Peel them, pop them in a Zip-Top bag, and throw them in the fridge until you're ready to do this. Regardless, either method works just fine. I just happen to prefer the flavor when they're roasted. To do that, I typically line a sheet pan with aluminum foil just to make the cleanup process a little bit easier. I prick the tops of the potatoes with a fork just to allow that steam to escape. Like I said, about an hour or until a knife inserted in the potato goes all the way through nice and easily. In my bowl here, I've got my peeled sweet potatoes, and we're gonna give these a mash. Now, you can choose to use a potato masher, or you can pull out your hand mixer like this. It just makes the process a little bit easier. We're just gonna get a head start on mashing these all up by running the mixer right through here. Sometimes with sweet potatoes, they can be a little fibrous, and I find that using a mixer kind of helps break those fibers up too, but either method will work just fine. The goal here is just to get them nice and mashed up. All right, once that's done, we're gonna add our other ingredients. So let's talk about that. I've got a cup of granulated white sugar. I've got 2 eggs. I've got about a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter that I've melted. I've got a 1/2 cup of evaporated milk. Now, this isn't sweetened condensed milk, it's evaporated milk. Comes in a can. You can buy it in a 5 or a 10-ounce can. You can also use heavy cream, but I really love the flavor that evaporated milk gives this dish. It's a richness that you just can't get with like regular milk. And I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of either vanilla extract or vanilla flavoring. If you head over to the blog and check out this recipe, you can see my small rant about extract versus flavoring. And then we're just gonna mix all this together. I'm gonna scrape down the sides of my bowl here just to make sure we get everything nice and incorporated. Give it one more mix. All right, I've got a 2-quart casserole dish here. I'm gonna spray with a little non-stick cooking spray. And this is gonna go right in our dish. Just gonna spread this out. Now, when you do roast sweet potatoes, sometimes you'll get dark spots on the bottom where it's set on the pan. You can also cut those off because sometimes you'll see those black specks in your mixture, but it's totally a personal preference thing. That's not something you have to do. Let's talk about our topping for a second. Now, in my family, sweet potato casserole typically only comes with a brown sugar pecan topping or marshmallows. Well, I like both of them, so that's what I did with this recipe is we're gonna do both. We're gonna start by making our streusel, crumble, whatever you wanna call it, our brown sugar and pecan topping. Now what I've got here is I've got a cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. In here, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, and I've got about a 1/4 cup of softened, unsalted butter. Because I really like to use a fork here to kind of mash all this together. Our goal is to make this crumble-like topping. Using a fork or something like a pastry blender kind of cuts this butter into that and mashes everything together so we get the right texture. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt here just because I feel like a little salt in this is the perfect balance. And you're gonna think this is never gonna come together, but just keep working at it. I promise that it will. Okay, you can see here that after a little work, we've got a nice kind of crumbly texture. That's exactly what we're looking for. And I'm gonna stir in about 3/4 cup of chopped pecans. All right, so let's talk about our marshmallows. Now, I want a combination of both the gooey, melty marshmallow and the nice toasted marshmallow. So we're gonna do marshmallow in two separate layers. I'm gonna start with about 2 cups of marshmallows. I'm gonna take about half of them and sprinkle them right over the top of our unbaked casserole here. And then we're gonna put our brown sugar mixture right over the top. And what we're gonna do is bake it just like this. Then we're gonna take it out, add some more marshmallows to the top, and then put it back in the oven to get those marshmallows nice and toasty on the top. This is gonna give us, like you can see, these under our brown sugar layer are gonna get nice and melty, and then the other ones are gonna get that nice toasty top. This is gonna bake at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. All right, so this has been in the oven for about 30 minutes. And you can see our topping has gotten that nice golden brown color. What we're gonna do now is add more marshmallows on the top. These marshmallows that were under that brown sugar are nice and melty, but we want some of that toasted flavor of the toasted marshmallow on the top. So we're just gonna add a few more. This is gonna go back in the oven for about 10 minutes or just until they're nice and golden brown. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, our marshmallows are nice and toasty and golden brown. What you're gonna wanna do is let this casserole rest for about 10 minutes. As it does that, it's gonna kind of solidify. Sometimes if you cut into it right after it being in the oven, it might be just a little watery or a little runny. So letting it rest is gonna give you that nice thick casserole consistency that you're looking for. And your casserole is ready. Sweet potato casserole is perfect for Thanksgiving, Christmas, just about any time of day. And I'll let you decide if it's a side or a dessert. Y'all enjoy.